All right, folks, welcome to the Creation Science Hour. This is Kent Hovind in Pensacola, Florida, and we thank you for joining us. My son Eric is covered with paint. He's been working all day painting a house we're getting ready for one of our staff members to live in, so he didn't look too presentable for the program. We will have Jonathan on in just a few moments, so he's going to fill in for Eric. Excited he has to run the board for a minute over here. We're going to read a few testimonies and get started on the program. But first I want to tell you what we are, what we believe, what we're trying to accomplish. I taught high school science for 15 years, and now for 15 years I've been an evangelist doing seminars on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. I speak all over the world about 800 times a year, and here it is getting close to Christmas, December 22nd, almost close. That's why with the red shirt, Christmas. Now I know Christmas is a pagan holiday. December 25th was the shortest day of the year, and they did sacrifices to bring the sun back up in the sky and all that stuff, and today, December 21st, is the shortest day of the year. I understand, but I don't want to be a Scrooge about the whole thing, okay? Just lighten up. I'm wearing a red shirt, okay? I like Christmas. We believe the Bible here is literally true and scientifically accurate. We think the earth was created in 6 literal 24-hour days about 6,000 years ago. Dinosaurs always lived with man. They did not live millions of years ago. And our ministry here, with nearly 40 people working full-time, is designed to strengthen your faith in the Word of God if you're saved. If you're not saved, we want to get you converted. That's the goal. We want to see you get saved. And Christmas, no better time to give your heart to the Lord. I don't know when Jesus came, probably sometime in the spring when he was born, but he was born, okay? And no better time than to give your heart to the Lord than today. I'd recommend you do that now. And we also believe the evolution theory is one of the dumbest and most dangerous ideas in the history of the world. If you want to believe you came from a rock, you just enjoy yourself, okay? But that's not science. It's not common sense, and Satan is laughing at you for believing that dumb lie. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of testimonies here. Let's see. Frida has no frowny faces in here today. Okay. We get thousands of people right into our ministry, tell us they got saved or got their life turned around from watching our videos. Our videos are just redone, the 2003 series, which, by the way, is online now. A little grainy. John's working on that. But go to Dr. Dino, D-R-D-I-N-O, and you can see our video series. Plus, we have a lot of debates that I've done against professors who believe in evolution. We have one that's not on the, is it on the website, the Rutgers debate? It's just not in this. It's not in the 12-part series. Quick note, Jonathan, let's add that people can order the Rutgers debate. I debated Dr. Trivers. Actually, I've debated him twice. The first time, the taping was of the video was pretty good. Second time, we had 2 people in the audience with regular home video cameras, and it's all right. We'll make that available probably sometime in mid-January. The debate was excellent. The quality's not as good as I'd like. I asked him to hire professionals, and it all fell through at the end. So, like, we got professionals here doing ours, right, brother? You get paid for this? I guess you do, don't you? Okay, professional. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read a few testimonies here. But anyway, we have a lot of debates on stuff like that. We get thousands of testimonies from people who have been converted watching our tapes. And if you want to get some, if you have a lost loved one or friend, or even an enemy, might be a good way to get them converted, get them to watch a video on creation. Okay, here's one from Mark Lambrecht, B-R-A-C-H-T. Dr. Hovind, I caught your program last night on WVCY in Milwaukee. Oh yeah, Vic Eliason, good friend of mine. Vic's doing a great job, so keep it up there. VCY America, great program. Let's see. I'm a devout Roman Catholic and completely enjoyed watching you logically discredit your opponent. I've always been a literal creationist and have never believed the bait and switch tactics of the evolutionary apologetics. Good going. You gave me some excellent ammunition to work with. Mark Lambrecht. Well, amen. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Now keep reading that Bible, and you can be a Baptist. That's when you know you made it all the way, to the top. Now let's see. Sekhar, S-E-K-H-A-R. That's an interesting first name. Last name is better. A-N-D-U-G-L-A. Andugala. Hope I got that close. Sekhar Andugala. People have a hard time with Hovind, so, My brother kept a board next to his door going outside of all the ways Hovind, he got letters, Hovind misspelled. Just tore the address out, stuck it out. They had like 140 of them, I don't know, 6 letters in the name. People spelled it wrong 140 different ways. Okay, anyway, Sekhar writes, hello, it's nice to go through your website. I appreciate your services. We'll fight against evolution theory to be banned in all countries because it spoils humans. Yours sincerely. Oh, the first name is actually more than that. Chandrasekhar in India. Well, I'm glad you're listening over there in India. I appreciate it. And please feel free to use my materials. They are not copyrighted. It's been our policy for 15 years. Spread them around. Here's one from Jason Sorensen. Good Norwegian name. Sorensen. Here we go. Dr. Hovind, I appreciate what God has done through you and your co-workers. I never realized how much the evolution theory invaded almost every aspect of modern day life. Praise God, though. He's left us the truth in His Word. I want you to know I'm praying for you, and if you ever see this side of glory, I can't wait to meet you. Sincerely, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Well, if you want to call anybody on the program, folks, you can. We have a lot to cover today, and we may not have time for too many calls, but if you can call our office at 877-479-DINO, 877-479-3466, or 850, and you pay for the call, same number, 479-DINO. We'll be glad to talk with you. You can call in. They'll transfer the call through to us here. Or you can AOL instant message us at Dr. Dino Live is our AOL screen name. Go to Dr. Dino and click on the Creation Science Hour button, and then there's a way to AOL instant message us. And are there just one secretary in there now, Jonathan? Diane? Don't know? Can't see. Okay. Anyway, we'll get the phone call answered. And if you can also order materials if you don't want to go on the program, I just want to get some of our materials, we get a catalog sent to you, they can do that. What we've been doing on this series, and this will be the last one, and we won't finish, okay? I decided to make a 4-tape series, 8 hours, on Dr. Hovind Answers His Critics. There is no possible way to answer all the nearly 1,000 anti-Hovind websites out there in 8 hours. However, I want to encourage you to feel free to call with any questions. You can call into our radio program, you can write to us, AOL Instant Message us, or just email us. I had to give up on email. When I got to about 1,500 a week, I said, I quit. I can't. I got to eat and sleep once in a while, so I can't do that. So if you want to email us, Rita will go through your email. If it's something I need to answer, I will answer it. Otherwise, she'll say, hey, give them a call. Because I take phone calls all day long. I'll just check and see if I have my phone still on me. I have my cell phone and my regular phone. So what we've been doing is answering those who are criticizing our ministry for various reasons. Now, I don't feel like we have to answer. God is in charge, and we're trying to do what's right. We're going to answer to God one day, not any of these critics. So, in one sense, it's a little bit of a waste of time to answer the critics. In another sense, you have to at least once go through and say, okay, here, let me defend myself. Here's my position. So we've done that for the last 7 broadcasts on some of the anti-Hovind websites. I think we've hit most of the high spots. Jonathan, the people, if you think of anything we haven't.
Like the mothership of all.
Carl Mary Church is the mothership of all the anti-Hovind websites, and
that was the first one that now.
And he changed it, made a few changes, for better or for worse. Derek's here now, Jonathan. If you want to come get on the program, are you ready to come join us? Jonathan's going to be a movie star now. You're going to have people come up to you in the airport and say, "I saw you on Dr. Hovind's radio program."
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today, Jonathan.
I've been told I have a face for radio. So
you have a face for. I've been told I have a voice for farming. I need to get out on the tractor and don't talk to people. But hey,
well, you're from Illinois like me, so we're both around the farm.
Well, that's right, both around the farm.
There we go.
Okay, what we've done, we've answered some of the anti-Hovind websites in the last 7 programs. What we're going to do tonight is there are a couple of Christian sites that are. Is your mic on? Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of Christian sites that are not anti-Hovind necessarily, but they've given some pretty stern criticism. And I understand there's plenty of room in Jesus' family for a wide range of spectrums, okay? Jesus, in his own disciples, had Simon the Zealot. They were the anti-Roman, blow-up-the-bridges kind of guys, They were the tax rebels of the day. He also had Matthew the tax collector as a disciple. So there is plenty of room for a wide political range within the family. And that's
basically how Creation Science Evangelism is. I was raised in Pentecostal churches, and when I came here, we had some little differences. But being around you, I'm slowly coming to the truth and becoming a Baptist. So, but I mean, we still function as a pretty effective ministry with the differences that we have within it. So
we have a wide range here on our staff.
Ruckmanites and Hovindites and.
That's right. We've got several from Brownsville Assembly of God. One running the keyboard over there now. So. Anyway, we're just everybody keep studying. There'll be a Baptist before it's over with, right?
I'm on my way.
On your way, okay, good.
Climbing the mountain of truth.
Jonathan monitors and actually manages our website and does a lot of research. And someday he's going to go out speaking on creation. Got to find him a wife first, right?
Yeah, I'm 2/3 married.
2/3.
I'm ready, and the ministers are ready. Just got to get a wife now.
Got to find a girl that's ready. Okay. Well, amen. We'll work on that, Jonathan. If you can afford one.
Yeah, well, I have to get that,
Well, two can live as cheap as one, but only for half as long.
I hear that.
That's the problem. Okay, actually a little less than half as long. Anyway, my wife and I's 30th anniversary was last summer, and we sat down and figured out how much money we spent since we got married. In 30 years, we have spent all of it.
Wow.
And then some, actually. Okay, one Christian, not necessarily website, but Christian personality that's very prominent in these days, that's really blasted me 5 times now on his radio program and has given me no opportunity to respond, is Hank Hanegraaff. I love Hank Hanegraaff. I think he's done a great job. His program's called The Bible Answer Man, and he has some excellent answers. He really is sharp on the Bible. I wouldn't want to fight him at all, okay? I don't know, too many doctrines I would disagree with him on. I think he's doing a wonderful job. However, he has, when people have called in and said, what do you think about Kent Hovind? He has come on there and just unleashed on me. I don't even know, I've never met the guy that I know of, okay? He's in California someplace. I don't know why he would do that, okay? So to some people, in Europe, they have what's called a tall poppy syndrome, or in England, the tall poppy syndrome, If one poppy grows a little taller than the rest, shoot them, makes you look good, This is 7th grade tactics where you tear somebody else down to make yourself look good. And there seems to be a lot of that in Christianity, where people, they think they're going to look better if they tear down some other Christian over some little dumb detail, okay? Well, Hank has come on and said he doesn't like my stand on the Great Pyramid. I mentioned in my seminar part 7 that the Great Pyramid, there are several theories about the Great Pyramid. One theory is that it was built to be an example to tell people godly truths, teach us godly truths. Another theory is it's just a heathen building. It's much a godless building.
There are a lot of different aspects about the Great Pyramid that I recall in some of your seminars. If I recall it, correctly, there was 144,000 blocks that actually went into constructing it.
That's just the casing stones, the surface.
Yeah, and then they have. So there's that. The cornerstone is missing.
Chief cornerstone never was installed.
Exactly. It has the 2 paths, the narrow and the wide one. The narrow one going up and the wide one going down.
2 paths, take the broad way to the pit.
So it looks like it really, accompanies the Bible, like it's somehow, connected there.
That's one theory, and there have been many, many books. I got 10 of them over here on the shelf about the Great Pyramid from Christian perspective, saying, hey, this is, a testimony to the Lord in stone. This is the gospel in stone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it is or not. Doesn't matter to me.
It's interesting.
Well, the fact that I even mention it, though, drives Hank nuts. He doesn't think it's true, therefore nobody should mention it. Well, my teaching technique is if there's 4 or 5 theories about a particular topic, I'm going to introduce people to the subject and mention all 4 or 5 theories. About Noah's Ark, I say there are 4 theories about Noah's Ark. And I mention all 4, and some people get really upset. Some Christians get upset because they think their particular theory is true, and you don't need to go any farther. We have the truth.
It's a correct education right there. That's the problem with public schools today. When they teach, origins, they give you just the secular theory, and that's it. They're not educated; they're indoctrinated. And when someone wants to limit you to what you're allowed to inform others of, it's more of an indoctrination than it is an education.
I know. And my teaching technique is, hey, let's just teach all sides. I'll tell you what I believe and why I believe it, and try to convince you to believe the same. However, we will show the other sides, and that's what I do.
Play fair.
Okay. Well, Hank also doesn't like the fact that I mentioned the gospel in the stars as a possibility. There have been many books written, hundreds and hundreds of books, about the fact that it may be that the original 12 constellations or zodiac signs was the gospel story. And you start with Virgo the Virgin and you end with Leo the Lion. So I mentioned that in my seminar. It's a very interesting study. D. James Kennedy has a great book on that called The Gospel in the Stars. And I mentioned, hey folks, it's an interesting study. I wouldn't get too excited about it. I certainly wouldn't make it a major doctrine I'd go around preaching on, because I don't think you can be positive about it. However, it's an interesting field of study. Go check it out. Well, that upsets Hank. It upsets him, I forget what other things people, because anytime they call these guys, some of these major Christian ministries and ask, what do you think about Kent Hovind? Many times they call me or email me. Mm-hmm. So here's what he told me. Well, I don't care, for one thing, what they think. I'm going to try my best to please God and stay right with Him and win souls. Okay.
I think a lot of these people feel that we're over exaggerating the importance of a literal reading of the creation account. They feel that it's not as important as we're making it look. Taking it literally. If you're taking that figuratively, if you're not taking that seriously, then what else can you take seriously? If the days aren't literal days, then what did God mean in Exodus 20:11? And I believe that a lot of these people, they say, well, you're over exaggerating the importance of a literal translation of the creation account. They don't understand the importance of it. So
Yeah, was Jesus in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights or 3,000 years?
And Jonah in the belly of the whale.
Yeah, for 3,000 years, right? You can go on and on. Yeah, we defend the Bible, literally true, scientifically accurate. So anyway, I love Hank. I don't want to hurt him in any way. I just want to say I think he has overstepped. Now, he has enough problems of his own. When you type in Hank Hanegraaff, you find all sorts of anti-Hank websites like you do anti-Hovind websites. Whether it's, people get accused of things all the time, and Hank's been accused of some really bad things, and you can read for yourself. And I get accused of all sorts of things. I think people ought to get a chance to defend themselves. So I've tried to do that. Feel free to call anytime. We'll take your phone call, 877-479-DINO. I'll even pay for the call. I don't know how many phone calls today, a lot. So I do this. Eventually we'll get to it. One of the secretaries will hand me a note and say, call this person, and I will. I promise you. Maybe a few days, but I'll get you. If I have to, I'll take my cell phone as I travel on a trip. Okay, another website that has a very prominent creationist website, probably the largest creationist ministry in America, maybe in the world, is Ken Ham's ministry, Answers in Genesis. I dropped our link to Answers in Genesis some time ago. I love their material. We agree on 99% of things. But there's just so much contention. I said, look, I don't want to get involved. I want to go. I'm going to go plow my row and try to please my master. When I get to heaven, I'll answer to him.
And you still sell their material in the bookstore?
Still sell their material. He has never linked to my site, and it doesn't link to any sites actually. They call themselves a destination site. We have all the answers. Come to us. Okay, well, we link to lots of sites and refer to lots of other material. Our philosophy of teaching is very different. We don't claim to have all knowledge, but Ken has been, maybe blast is not a good word. Jonathan, I think he's got a question. AOL Instant Message? Just print it out and hand it to us. We got the little dinosaur there, the little special.
That's the Bobby head one.
The Bobby head one. So let me preface this with a couple things. I'm going to go through some of the criticisms that Answers in Genesis has of my ministry and answer them, okay? It has been a year since they published their big, long article about my teaching on certain topics. It's been a year. It's December 16th, 2002 when they did this. I haven't responded for a year. Number one, I don't think I need to, okay? I don't work for them. They don't work for me. They're doing a great job. I don't want to hurt them in any way, and I don't think this program's going to hurt them. Now, I suspect, though, from what I've seen the track record of, there will be a 50-page article about me when they see this radio program or TV, or the videotape.
Now, was this one, whenever you had actually responded to their initial email, wasn't this on their front page?
Well, here's the way it all started off. They wrote an article called 15 Arguments Creationists Should Not Use. And I agree with nearly all of them. There's a couple of them, though, I disagree with. I think it's okay to use the argument. And again, with some of them, I think they're right that you shouldn't be dogmatic, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't use the argument. And that's where the difference is, okay? So I got, dozens and dozens, maybe even over 100 phone calls or letters or emails saying, hey, Ken Ham says you shouldn't use these arguments. Why do you still use them? Well, I got so many, we call it a frequently asked question because we were frequently asked the question. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to respond. And I just very quickly went through and did a quick response for our frequently asked question, which is buried in our website. You have to try to find it. Well, so I just responded and saying, I agree with him on this. No, I disagree on this, and here's why. And I just tried to give my reasons. Well, the next thing I knew, there was a 29-page article, front page of their website, for a long time on the front page, maintaining creationist integrity. As if I don't want to maintain creationist integrity. I guess where I took it.
Now, a lot of these people, this wasn't actually directed to you personally. This was,
no, it wasn't directed to me.
Yeah, but a lot of these atheists and evolutionist websites like to use this, and they often represent it and actually state that it's to you directly. And that's some of their arguments against you. We found, Carl Mary Church, the analysis of Kent Hovind, that's like the mothership of all of them. He uses that as a leverage against you, along with just about 98% of all these anti-Hovind websites. It's inevitable. If they're mentioning Dr. Hovind as being a liar or in some way skewing the truth, they will mention the AIG articles.
So, because the anti-Hovind websites and the anti-Christian websites mention the conflict between, AIG and CSE, they use that as evidence, for something, I guess.
They overlook they have the same thing with evolutionary theory. They have punctuated equilibrium and, gradualism.
Yeah. Well, there's 8 different evolutionists. They all, each other. They argue with each other. I don't know anybody that agrees with anybody on everything. Mm-hmm. I argue with my wife once in a while, okay? I've never met anybody I agree with on everything. I don't even agree with myself sometimes. So, okay. So the differences, I think, are relatively minor. I'm not trying to cause any problems, and I'm probably not going to respond again. If they write a 50-page article, I'm going to ignore it and go on and serve God, okay?
Well, I have learned one thing being here in the last 10 months. If there is any contention or any tension, or if someone's ever wrong, if they would just agree with you,
it's over.
Everyone would be right. I mean, I've learned that in many situations. If I just agree with Dr. Hovind, I'll be right.
That's right.
And it's a good feeling to know
the argument's
right.
over, too. Okay. So I'm going to go through just a few points. We won't have time to cover them all. There's a break. You might be listening for the... Derek, you got to have the headphones on. Listen for the break music. Let me know.
It's already.
Over there?
It's already on the break.
Okay, folks, we'll come back after the break. All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. We've got Jonathan here that normally runs the soundboard over there, filling in for my son Eric, who's covered in paint. I told him when you paint, you're supposed to get on the wall, but
it's funner if you. It's an abstract artwork, like artists. They douse themselves in paint and then roll around.
And then they sell it for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always somebody dumb enough to buy it. Some city will call it, great mounted downtown, make everybody drive around it. Okay. So what we're going to do is defend my position on some of the things. And I'm just going to go, it's 29 pages, we won't get through it all. We'll do as much as we can. This can be found on the Answers in Genesis website, which is an excellent site. It has an enormous amount of good material. I highly recommend it. However, they have been contentious, I guess would be a simple word. They've been blasting so many other creationists. It's not just me. I mean, there are many good people that they don't have a kind word to say about them at all. And so I said, I don't want to get involved in the contention. I'm just going to go on and serve God, okay? And I would hope they want to do the same. I think that they do. They're doing a great job. They have blasted Carl Baugh. They've blasted
Dennis Swift,
Dennis Peterson.
They've actually retracted their comments with Dennis Swift, haven't they, to some extent, about the Ecostones?
Yeah, well, the retraction was awful weak. I saw it I showed it to you yesterday in Creation Magazine. I said, this is a retraction buried in the bottom of a little column. I don't know if that's what it's
Dennis Swift is actually going to be at the Southeast Creation Conference.
We forgot to mention
September.
Southeast Creation Conference in September. Dennis Swift, Carl Baugh, and Jack Cuazzo. 3 big-name creation speakers going to be here. Carl Baugh probably has the most influential creation ministry in the world. He's on TBN every week, has 5 million viewers watching him every week.
Every program almost.
Every program, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, how do you measure who's the biggest creation ministry? It doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to build a big ministry. We're trying to win souls. But we have, I speak 800 times a year. I don't know anybody who goes that many.
That's a lot more than...
We have 1 million videotapes out there, if you want to measure it by that. We have, we're up there in the top 2 or 3 for sure. We have employees. I don't know if you want to measure it that way. 38, or I don't know.
I mean, I really don't think it really matters who's doing, who's the biggest and the best,
right.
The best out there. We're all doing, we're all part of one body.
Yeah.
And I can't say that my foot does more work than my hand. I can't say that, my ears do more work than my nose. And this body, they all work together for one thing. Mm-hmm. So it's not really, seeing which, body part's the best, which one do I need the most, which one's doing the most good for me. It's good to have them all working together,
It's absolutely called coordination. And that's what I want, okay? So I'm not wanting to hurt anybody. I'm wanting to get this straight here. Here they start off the article by saying, where no counsel is, the people fall. Because I know the controversy, I know that they're implying that Kent Hovind is a lone rogue and there is no counsel, and it's going to fall, because many times throughout their article there are references to these one-man band type, one-man band. I think the phrase appears several times in there. One-man ministries. Well, a couple of things to consider on that, okay? First of all, I don't see any place in Scripture where God calls a committee to do anything, okay? God calls a man to do a job. He's called the man of God, okay? There are hundreds of examples of that through Scripture. So, first of all, I don't see any examples in Scripture where God called a committee to do anything, or a board, okay? People say Kent Hovind doesn't have a board. Well, actually, I do. I have 3 on my board: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They work on me very hard, and I try very hard to obey them, and believe me, I try to stay sensitive to their leading, okay?
connecting with truth?
Forget it. Just write the question out for us or summarize it for us later. Okay, you can't get it to the printer. Here we go. So, where no counsel is the people fall. That I agree with. I love the verse, by the way. And that's why I take counsel with many, many other creationists and many other non-creationists. I'll talk to anybody, anytime, and discuss any topic related to creation evolution, preferably. So, no, I get lots of counsel and love counsel, actually. And I think if you won't, the person that won't take counsel is a fool, the Bible says. So, yeah, I agree we should have counsel, but I just know where this is going, that this is a little backhanded way of saying, Hovind's a one-man ministry, and well, we're not a one-man ministry. We're one of the largest creation ministries in the world, actually, and not trying to be. We just are. Okay, we have a museum up and running, science center, museum, theme park, and we have thousands of visitors come through here, and we're having a great time and just doing our thing, trying to win the Lord. Okay. And I'm not going to read everything, believe me. I'm just going to go through some of the things I've highlighted here. I'm down about, I don't know how it'll show up on your webpage, but the paragraph that starts, we would therefore suggest that one of the greatest strengths of any creationist organization or individual would be a willingness to keep up with new information and to discard or modify one's favorite arguments in the interest of the highest standards of integrity and accuracy. I agree, and I try to do that. Which is why when they said there's 15 arguments we shouldn't use, and people kept asking me, why do you still use these 3 or 4, whatever it is, I don't know how many out of the 15, I gave an answer. Here's why I still use them. I think they're still legitimate. So yes, I definitely want to maintain creationist integrity. That is absolutely, my goal, okay, and target. And I wouldn't want anybody to imply that I don't want to do that, because I definitely do. Let's see. It says on the second page here, over the years, AIG has a deep burden to maintain the highest standards of integrity and accuracy in the vital creation ministry the Lord has entrusted us to. I agree, and I think they've done a good job. At some point, though, you can go overboard. If a person picks at every single flaw in their spouse,
you're never going to be happy.
You're going to get a divorce.
Yeah.
I know people that aren't happy with anybody. It doesn't matter what happens. You give them $1,000, they'll gripe because it wasn't 2010. Mm-hmm. Okay. Some people aren't happy no matter what you do, and I don't know how they live with themselves, but that's what they do. Some people, all they can do is criticize. They don't have a kind thing to say about anybody. All they are is critics. It's very easy to criticize. We want to criticize by building something better. That's, we're doing it. Okay, we're just going to go do it. And so we're just trying to make a ministry with raising people. We want to do 2 things here. We want to use the people to build our ministry and use the ministry to build our people.
Now, they have a statement in here that they have over the years, maintained a deep burden for the highest standards of integrity and accuracy in the vital creation ministry that the Lord has entrusted to us. Do you know where they stand on, their biblical preference? What, versions they use? And so
I've gotten many calls and letters, I don't know how many, but saying AIG does not use or maintain the King James stand that I do for sure. Mm-hmm. So people say we're going to defend Genesis from the very first verse. So which Genesis? There are 80 different Bible versions.
Greatly. You have some that say the first day, some that say a first day.
Right.
There's another one that you refer to. I can't remember which one it says. In a period of time. It actually says a period of time right there. Yep. And it's just, if you have these 12 different, versions with 12 different ministries, there's going to be even more conflict. I, for many years, read the NIV religiously. I read it every day, every hour. Mm-hmm. And probably about a year ago, I started reading the King James because there were just so many things in NIV that were causing me to be confused with, many situations. So, me trying to maintain my highest standards of integrity and accuracy in the vital creation ministry would be using the King James.
Well, yeah, I don't know that that's an issue worth fighting over with them. I'm very disappointed that they've given up their stand on the King James because, they say we're going to defend the Bible. Okay, show me the Bible you are defending. Mm-hmm. It's always nebulous. Well, it's about here in the original someplace. The originals are gone. God promised He would preserve His Word. Where is it? Mm-hmm. Hand me a copy of it. One guy wrote an article. Wrote a letter to, about 10-page letter to. I asked Little John if he would. We got 5 guys here named John. So one of them we call Little John. I asked Little John if he would answer it. Excellent answer he gave. We're going to put that on the website. The guy was saying, I believe in defending the Bible, and John said, okay. But he was blasting the King James over and over and over. And so John said, well, show me this Bible you're defending. I want a copy of it, and then we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. They don't have one. it's nebulous. It's in often imagination land someplace. Where is God's Word? And AIG does not have the Bible to defend, in my opinion. So I won't fight them over that. It took me 35 years to get to the position I'm at, that the King James is God's preserved Word for us in English. So if people aren't there yet, great. Keep studying. You'll get there.
I think I personally think this is a really important thing that ministries need to keep an eye on. I know that somebody a while back had emailed us in regards to, the NIV KJV controversy, and I have followed through with a 10-page, article about problems that I found personally in the NIV. Mm-hmm. His response was, well, these are minor and we don't have to really worry about them. The Lord will give me discernment to overlook these. And I was thinking, well, why would you even overlook them when you can have something that doesn't have
I know.
problem?
That's why, as I read through this, I thought some of the stuff they're picking at, is minor, and they would strain at these gnats and then swallow the camel of not even having the right Bible to defend. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a pretty major issue. But hey, God bless them. I'm not going to fight them. It's the first time I've ever mentioned it even to anybody. So they have a deep burden for accuracy. I do too, which is why I think it's important to have a Bible you can defend, and that's what I do. Second, the next paragraph down, I'm on page 2 of what printed out anyway, if there's a website. To this end, AIG has sought to develop a network of scientists, theologians, and others to provide checks and balances needed to try to ensure what our speaking, research, and writing are as accurate as possible. I agree. I do the same thing, actually. I read lots of stuff from Christian and non-Christian alike, and I'll read anything you send me. I'm a readaholic. I've flown 214 times this year. Get plenty of time on the plane to read. Send it to me, I'll read it. Okay? Here we go.
Wow.
Is that about this topic?
I can check through real quick.
Okay, check through real quick. I'll do a few more here. Fourth paragraph down on page 2. In addition to our carefully checked family magazine, Creation, our refereed journal, technical journal, has become, along with the Creation Research Society Quarterly, a major forum for creationists to be able to formally present and debate positions. I agree. As far as the carefully checked Creation magazine, it is generally an excellent magazine. I get it. I have recommended it to thousands of people. There have been some articles in there that I think were obviously not carefully checked, okay? They had one last issue, which would have been, September 2003, claiming the Ica stones are not genuine. Then they ran what they called a retraction, buried in the bottom of an article. They didn't have a name, didn't even have a title on it saying retraction. Anyway, I've got that. I meant to bring that magazine out there. Did you have that Creation magazine?
I do not.
During this upcoming break, we can go get that. So, when they blasted Ron Wyatt and his supposed Noah's Ark find, what I do in my seminar, I say, hey, there's 4 theories about the Ark. One theory says it's on the mountain, but they have no proof. Another theory says it's in the valley. Here's the evidence offered. Here, one theory says it rotted, it's gone. Another theory says they took it apart, used it for building. So the Creation magazine really blasted Ron Wyatt twice in there. So I called Ron to give a guy a chance to defend himself. I called Ron and said, hey, Ron, let me read an article to you that's in Creation magazine. He said, Creation magazine? I said, yeah, great. I said, by Answers in Genesis, Ken Ham. Have you ever heard of them? He said, no. I said, they never talked to you? He said, no. I said, they wrote this long article and never gave you a chance to defend yourself? He said, no, I haven't heard of them. So I read the thing to him, and he gave, I thought, a very logical answer to all of their objections. So I called Ken and said, hey, would you be willing to go with me and talk to Ron? He said, no, I would not. He said, we've had scientists check it out. I don't need to go. I said, I'll pay you to go. He's in Tennessee, you're in Kentucky. It's not that far, right next door. I'll pay you to go. Come on, let's go. He said, no, I don't want to do it. Anyway, I couldn't convince him to go talk to Ron. Those who have gone and talked to Ron or Richard, either one who took over for him, just 65 miles south of Nashville on Highway 65, Cornersville, Tennessee. They've converted a corner gas station right on the interstate to a museum on Noah's Ark and the finds there. And I think done a marvelous job. I've talked to Richard many times, including 2 days ago. So I agree their magazine is pretty carefully checked. However, it doesn't mean you can, trust them to be always right on everything. Or me either, by the way. Always check everything out. Anything we should need to answer right away in that one?
Well, we just have a couple of AOL Instant Messages.
Okay.
Not really on the topic, some of them, but there is one. We have Spidey of Snither. It's an odd name. It said, I was looking at some of the anti-Hovind websites, and I saw one that was pretty interesting. It's the actual Carl Mary Church's website. I was wondering if you looked at it. And, actually we did. That was the very first one that we had checked out, Dr. Hovind and his son Eric Hovind. did a pretty in-depth evaluation on it, which will be on the website probably within the next week. So they can download it then.
Sure, and this whole video series, we're actually videotaping our radio program for you folks listening on the radio. And we're going to put these 8 broadcasts where we deal with the skeptics on a videotape as a package that you can order through our ministry for $39 or $45 or whatever it comes out to be our cost is, to provide to people. You know, Dr. Hovind answers his critics. Okay, Ica stones, they talk about mainstream creation experts in their field should check things out. I agree, and I try to do that very carefully. Okay, I read lots of opinions, and I read their opinions, and I simply disagree. It's like, well, if you disagree, you know, then you must be wrong. But disagreements are fine. You know, iron sharpeneth iron. Mm-hmm. Some sparks fly sometimes, but that's how it's supposed to work. Okay, next page, page 3. So if this could happen with all the checks and balances in place with a large organization like AIG, how much more difficult for those who do not have easy access to a network of internal and external professional advisors. Okay, I'll let that one go, but I do have plenty of advisors, internal and external, who give me advice all the time, and I try to follow it. But I would go back to say, bottom line is, I'm going to answer to God for me and for the ministry He's called me to, and I would like someone to find me any examples in Scripture where God called a board or a committee to do anything. Okay, I see God's work is given to one man, and you know, you just go do it. Answer to God for it when it's over with. So we had to respond to Kent Hovind's critique, albeit with a heavy heart. Me too, by the way, guys. I hate to have to do this. It's been a year. Remember, I waited a year. Okay, I could wait longer, but we're doing the program now, so I thought it's as good a time as any. Last paragraph in page 3. Our purpose is to encourage God's people to avoid fallacious arguments, I agree, and incorrect information, I agree, that could become a stumbling block to those who have the background to understand the material. By the way, AIG has met with Kent Hovind in the past to discuss many of the items below, including the fraudulent claims of Ron Wyatt. Well, they didn't go meet with Ron Wyatt. I did on 5 occasions, I think. Talked to him many times. Talked to Richard numerous times. Was with him for 10 years as a partner. You can call Nell and ask her anything you want. That's his widow. Ask me any questions you want. They never would do that. Now, to me, that's just the wrong approach, okay? I know they're all from Australia, but this is America, okay? Here you get a chance to face your accusers and defend yourself. And some of the issues that they have, I think, may be more of a cultural issue because, you know, they're from Australia where they look at things a little different. But it says, they're quoting my response and then giving their response to it. Let's see, the first one they quote from me is bad creationist arguments. So I'm going to read the last part of this paragraph, last sentence actually of the paragraph. I said, I must disagree with several items on their list. I still encourage people to visit their website and use their fine materials, even though they apparently do not do the same for many other creationists, including me. Their response, we certainly promote many materials produced by other creationists, but not just because they're creationists. Break time. We'll come after the break, folks, and answer a few more of these. Stay with us. Go to drdino.com. Welcome back. This is Kent Hovind in Pensacola, Florida, talking to you live on December 22nd anyway, and Jonathan Sampson here with me. Yep. We're discussing Creation Magazine, published in Australia, and Ken Ham and his fine ministry up in south of Cincinnati in Kentucky. I've been there several times. I've tried to talk them into coming here to visit. So far, no luck. But this is the retraction I was talking about earlier. This
we'll show it on the screen.
This one paragraph on page 5 about the Ica stones. I think they simply were wrong about that. We're only going to have time to cover a couple of the 29-page article. I'm on page 4 now. I'm reading AIG's response. It says, we have difficulty with the idea of promoting sites which have various overtly bizarre ideas, not just in creation issues, but also linking creation issues with other fringe thinking, such as arguments against paying income tax. Well, let me stop right there and answer this one once and for all. Ken, or whoever's listening, or Mark Loy, I am not against paying income tax. I'm very much in favor of the law. I think everybody should obey the law, including the government. And if you think I'm violating some law, then the onus is on you to show me which law, or quit saying this. Because if you can't show me that I'm violating some law, then because when people call in and ask him, what do you think about Kent Hovind's ministry? They say, well, he doesn't pay taxes. I pay every tax I owe, and I think everybody should.
This is actually covered in more depth on previous radio broadcasts, so they can check that out if they're interested in that.
Yeah, I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-tax. I'm pro truth. For the truth, whatever that may come down on. And they go on here and saying, such as arguments against paying income tax. That is simply incorrect, fellas. I am not against paying income tax. If you owe it, you ought to pay it. Okay? If you don't owe it, you don't need to pay it. There's a tax on liquor. I don't pay that. I don't make any liquor. Okay? Never drink any either. Various cancer cures. Okay. First of all, let me say the governmental type issues that I do touch in my seminar is 17 hours long. I probably get into the governmental type stuff for 20 or 30 minutes. Let's see. You've been through the seminar. Derek edits it. I don't know, maybe it's 20, 30 minutes approximate, maybe less than that, on issues relating to how government involvement is. Now, as an American living here in America, I believe our founding fathers understood very clearly that the creation issue is tied in exactly, directly, with the freedom issue. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain rights. Now, this is in America. Australia doesn't feel the same way, I know. They don't feel the same way about gun control and issues like that are near and dear to American hearts. However, I think they do tie together. I think the issue, and by the way, I'm showing some of the creation magazines. I collect them, I read them, I love them. Have all kinds of stuff, technical journals. Great stuff, by the way. So I'm still in favor of it. I just dropped my link to their site because there's just so much controversy, and they're unnecessarily blasting good people like Walt Brown and Dennis Swift and Dennis Peterson's great book that we sell. They've been a 15-page article, blasting the book, which was totally unnecessary to begin with, and I think simply misguided. I think it's got great stuff in there. It's things they don't like, so therefore let's blast it. I think it's a tall poppy syndrome, but. Okay, cancer cures. I think cancer, I tied directly in videotape number 2 into the creation story. It's in the first chapter, Genesis chapter 1. It says, eat the fruit, the vegetables, and the seeds. People that eat the seeds have less cancer. Go to apricotsfromgod.com.
Now, their main argument in that is basically centered around the fact that the vitamin B17 actually has cyanide in it.
Do they say that in here?
No, I'm not quite sure about that, but I know that people that mention the cancer cure, the vitamin B17 issue, usually, poke up this cyanide, and maybe you could touch on that, why that's not really a problem. Yeah,
cyanide's not poisonous in seeds any more than hydrogen is explosive in water. Mm-hmm. Okay, hydrogen and oxygen go together to make water, which is not explosive, and cyanide in seeds actually only kills the cancer cells. Okay, Derek, you're looking at us like you got a bunch of people wanting to get online. Questions?
We've got a few if you want to cover them.
Got a few. We have, let me finish just a few more things. The purpose of this broadcast is to go through with answers in Genesis. Here's page 5. They're listed 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. He says, persistent. Let's see. For instance, we would not, for example, be able to recommend people who do all or some of the following: persistently use discredited or false arguments with an unwillingness to correct when the weaknesses are pointed out. Well, that's not me. I'm willing to correct anything if the weakness is pointed out. I went through your article and said, I think your reasoning for dropping these arguments is not logical. It's not sound. Their title was, Arguments We Think Creationists Should Not Use. My response was, I think it's okay to use these things, as long as you qualify it, because either the jury's not in yet, or it's still I think, a legitimate creationist argument.
And you're still offering all the theories that are currently present for that.
To all sides, right. Kent Hovind mentions the moon dust landing. And I say, I mildly disagree. They think you should not use the moon dust argument. I say, I mildly disagree. The verdict's not in on this one yet. And they said pre-moon landing calculations varied too widely to assume exactly what was expected. What I do in my seminar is I go through the historical perspective. Historically, in the 1950s and early 60s, they were very concerned about moon dust being a problem. They did all sorts of studies, and I say the variations in the measurements produced a wide range of numbers, and so they didn't know what to expect. NASA sent up the Ranger and Surveyor programs and said, hey, we don't see any dust there. They did radar echoing from Earth, said we don't see enough dust to worry about. So they went ahead and landed on it, but even still, they lengthened the legs on the lunar module. 18 inches, and didn't lengthen the ladder, by the way. Created a problem. Put the big duck feet on there, cost millions of dollars. That, of course, is if you believe we even went to the moon. I think we did, but I've seen the videos and read the articles about did we really go to the moon? A funny thing happened on the way to the moon. So I still mention the moon dust argument, and I put it in perspective and say, here's the problems with it. So I think it's fine to mention it. And I think they overreacted. When I said I disagree, they think you shouldn't use the argument. I said I disagree. I think it's okay to use the argument. Walt Brown's got a good section on that.
Yeah, he actually has an extremely technical analysis of the moon dust argument in his book in the beginning, and it's also available for free on his website, which is creationscience.com. I would strongly encourage the listeners today to check that out.
Right. I simply won't have time in one program to go through all 29 pages of this, and I've got all sorts of things marked up here in their argument. They did, by the way, point out a few mistakes, which I will correct, okay? I think some of theirs, they misunderstood my position on it. It's just a matter of teaching all sides of an issue, and it's not necessarily something to get upset about, and I'm not upset about it. I'm sorry that they had to, take who knows how much time to write their 29-page article about it. And I'm sure there'll be a 50-page one coming after this. Okay, so they have blasted Walt Brown. I asked Walt Brown, why haven't you written an article for AIG Magazine? He gave a very interesting and very long answer. Call him up. He'll be glad to talk with you. His phone number's right on his website. I got it on my cell phone.
It's right on the front page.
It's on the front page. You can call him. He'll talk to you. He'll answer the phone. Okay, he's a great guy. He and I sat at the Phoenix airport for hours when I flew. He lives in Phoenix, and we discussed. He and I differ on some things. So he doesn't think there was a canopy above the atmosphere. I do. AIG doesn't think there was a canopy. I do. The problem is they set up a straw man here. I didn't find the page for that one because we're going to run out of time. But they said the canopy theory should not be taught. And they said because if you had enough rain for 40 days stored above the earth, it would cause all these various problems. That's the wrong argument.
And this is actually used by a lot of evolutionists also, isn't it?
Right. They're missing the point. I don't think there was enough water up there for 40 days worth of rain. I think much of the rain came from the fountains of the deep shooting up and coming back down. Okay? The Bible actually says the fountains opened first, and then the rain came. The fountains of the deep opened up. That's the water from inside the ground shooting up. Walt Brown's got a great section on that.
Now the rain actually stopped long before the waters finished rising. So it couldn't have all come from the rain.
Yeah, it rained for 40 days. The water kept coming up for 150 days. I do think there was a canopy overhead, and I cover all the reasons why on my videotape number 2. And Walt Brown does not think there was a canopy. I still sell Walt Brown's book.
You threw it down.
I threw it down. Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Not that you don't like it or anything.
I still sell it. Still love Walt Brown. I think you're wrong. I think there had to be a canopy. And we discussed it for hours one day on the phone. And I call him right now. I consider him a good friend. He knows how to, and I know how to disagree without being disagreeable. Some people don't, okay? They can't disagree without being disagreeable. And all you got to do is read through the argument. I think they are not only disagreeing, they are disagreeable. He did point out a couple of typos, and I got a couple of typos in his to respond to, by the way. And I'll send them to you, Ken. Let's see. Japanese fishing boat catching the creature that some people think was a plesiosaur.
Now the marine biologist that was actually on board, this is 1977 or
right, 1977, Japanese fishing boat pulled the thing out of the water. He thought it was not a basking shark. He said, I know what basking sharks are. I don't think it. I do understand that basking sharks can rot in such a way. I spent 6 hours on the back porch right there talking to a guy who was up in Parker's Cove when the creature washed up on the beach there in Nova Scotia. He has a cottage right there. He has pieces of it, actually, of this creature. And we talked for a long time about all the details on it. I don't know what it was. The Parker's Cove monster, don't know. I don't know what the Japanese fishing boat one caught. All I say is they thought they had a plesiosaur. The Japanese made a stamp out of the, plesiosaur on their stamp. And they thought it was a plesiosaur.
Now they actually sketched out the bone structure also?
The marine biologist sketched out the bone structure. There have been subsequent articles since then. And AIG thinks you shouldn't use the argument. Okay, then don't use it. I don't ever say it was a plesiosaur. I hope I never say that. I don't mean to. I think it was an interesting creature. It may just have been a basking shark rotting away, how the gill slits and the fins fall off. I've studied that, read all that. Okay, I still disagree. I think it's okay to use the argument. That's what's the deal.
It's still showing all the different sides.
That's the teaching technique of showing all the sides. They mention here, although it's impossible to make a 100% watertight evaluation of any creature solely on a few photographs. Then they go back. Over in the next page, Mr. Hovind stated above is self-refuting. He says the evaluation of the creature is based solely, his word, on a few photographs. an interpretive sketch, and eyewitness reports. If this were true, then his own subsequent comments regarding protein comparisons would be false, because there would be no protein available. Photos, sketches, and eyewitnesses do not provide samples of photos. What they've done here, they took their response and thought it was mine.
Basically saying it was solely this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never said solely. Okay, and I never said about the eyewitness accounts and about the protein. So they got it confused there. They took their own response and then rebuked me for saying something I never said. Okay, that's on page 10 and 11. And we can go all through the whole thing. My goal is not to hurt AIG or Ken Ham or anybody else. I think they're doing a fine job. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that stuff's not intentional.
No. And I think we're both plowing in the same field for the same master and go in the same direction. And when Judgment Day comes, we'll see who produced fruit, you know. I think the name of the ministry is important. We chose the name Creation Science Evangelism. Our goal is evangelism, win souls. We want to get people saved. I'm sure they do too. Their name is Answers in Genesis. They provide answers. They're research, like Institute for Creation Research. So I think that's great. We need that. But our goal is a little different. We're not so much into the research end or just simply providing answers, but winning souls. Evangelism. That's the goal of the primary thrust of our ministry, as you can see from everything we do around here. Let me take some of the AOL Instant Message ones. So if there's anything else in the 29-page article by Answers in Genesis, Maintaining Creationist Integrity, which is still on their website, if anything in particular bothers you, give me a chance to defend myself. This
or
is
either any anti-Hovind website. You still want to take questions for that?
You're welcome to call in the program. We'll try to answer as many as I can in the last 3 minutes. Sorry about that, folks. After Christmas break, we'll get on to the regular schedule of answering all the AOL Instant Messages. Jacob K1611 says, I read the article by Ruckman about the gap theory and heard your view on it, and I have to say it split me right down the middle, and I don't know if I'll ever straighten it out. That's why I can't see why either of you are so dogmatic about it. Debating gap or no gap seems to miss the point Peter was saying in 2 Peter 3. God did at some point in history destroy an evil world and plans to do it in the future. Dr. Dino Live, Dr. Hovind tries to give both sides, but he believes and tries to prove the KJV of the Bible. That's correct. I do give all sides, and I say this is why I believe what I believe. I think that's what everybody does, you know, try to convince you to believe like me. Okay, powerful prophecy, let's see. I want to know about the year 0. Does it count? I need to know how many years are between 445 BC and 32 AD. That's an interesting question, by the way. There was no year 0. They didn't... I can't answer that in the 2 minutes we have left. But I think there's a good article, believe it or not, on answersingenesis.org.
With the time?
Yeah, it talks about the year 0. It's 44. Oh, we got to end the show. Rats. Music playing. Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Catch us again next time. Thank you.